Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Noelle and this is my entry for this year's 2018 NYX Face Awards. So I am starting out this tutorial with a NYX Pro Foundation Mixer in white. I'm not using any other foundation on my face besides this white because I am going to be creating a skull-like face today, and I don't want any color in it. So I'm using a disposable sponge to blend this into my face and make sure that I have a nice even layer all over and that it's all blended, and then doing a single stripe down my neck as well. And then going in with a foundation powder that's white or translucent and making sure that everything is neat and even and matte and not going anywhere. I'm using a liquid suede lipstick in the color Foul Mouth, which is a dark purple lip stain, and a small detail brush, and I'm going to start outlining my shapes that I'm going to be painting into my face with this. So I'm going to want the slanted jaw on either side. And then I'm going to go in and draw each of the individual teeth. To make my teeth, I am pressing my brush firmly down along the base line and then pulling away with a light flicking motion in order to get the nice edges on the end of the teeth. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to look more organic if it's not. So don't worry about perfection in this look. Now that I've finished my teeth, I'm going to move on to making my eye hollows. I'm starting at the inner corner of each eye and coming up over the brow bone and creating kind of like a little swirl over each eyebrow, just because that's what I've preferred to do with this look. It's not a shape that you have to take. And then after I did one eye, I decided to widen out a little bit, so I went back and widened the other eye. This is just my outline, so it doesn't have to be 100% white yet. Next, I'm moving on to the nose, in which I'm going to draw two small triangles. They almost look like little tiny flames, I've always thought. They should have kind of a tapered edge, much like our teeth, so it looks more like bone cracking and not be so super neat. Otherwise, it kills some of the organic look of our makeup. Now going in and drawing in the bottom of my neck. It's the hardest directly under your chin, so that part wasn't as even. As you get further down your neck, it gets much easier. I'm drawing a line with a dip in the center, and that kind of looks like small vertebrae without it getting super crazy. Next, I'm moving on to my Butt Naked palette, in which I'm going to use the black eyeshadow to do the majority of my shading. I'm using a flat brush and patting the pigment into my outline, starting from the outside and working my way in, leaving the lids blank. I've also left the under eye area blank, and we'll talk about what color I'm putting in there next. So I did a build your own palette while I was out in Las Vegas, and I chose colors for this look, including this blue shadow, which is called Axphyxiation. It's got a little bit of a metallic quality to it, and it's a really nice dark blue, and I'm blending that into the black, as well as filling in some of the blank space on the edges of my eyes, still not getting quite to the eyelid. Switching to a fluffier brush, I'm going to use another shadow that I placed in that palette called Burlesque, which is a nice deep purple. And I'm going to cover my entire lid with that, and then I'm pulling some of that down into the underside as well, and creating a little bit of distinction outside of the eye hollow itself, just to make it look like bone is standing up off the face, and create a little bit more dimension in this look as a whole. Like magic, the other eye is done. I'm just going in and touching up some of that burlesque color on the outsides of the eyes. I'm also deciding to do a little bit of the same concept to make the brow bone look a little bit more angry and defined, using one of the flat brushes and the color Burlesque once again. So I place a straight line and then blend out up into the forehead. I've now gone back in with the black from the Butt Naked palette. I started with a smaller brush, which was really nice for doing my edges, and blending that down. And then I'm actually going to put Axphyxiation, that dark blue color, on top and blend out with that as well, to kind of give it the blue to black and give a little bit more depth to this makeup look. Somewhere along the lines, I realized that these small brushes were not going to cut it to cover my whole neck, and switched to a bigger, fluffier brush, like a blush brush, in order to fill in the neck area, which worked much, much better and saved on a lot of time and blending. The smaller brushes are really good for details like around the edge and making sure you're not blending into your white, but when you get into the big areas, it's just better to use a big brush. One of the other colors that I picked out in my palette was called Mermaid, and it was a holographic one, and since this is kind of a fantasy look, I felt like it needed more of a fantasy highlight in it, so I'm actually using this light green mermaid holographic shadow as my highlighter with a small blush brush. I picked this color because it also matches the mint green wig that I've selected for this look, which you'll see a little bit later. I've gone into my cheekbones with this color, my forehead, and my chin. Now with a very small brush, I'm actually going in and touching up some of the white on my lips with the Butt Naked white shadow that they have in their palette, which does have a little bit of a sheen to it. And once I've got everything nice and crisp and white, I'm actually going on top with that same brush and applying some of that mermaid highlight. I'm not worried about this being super perfect because I'm going to be putting gems on top, so I just want to get a nice color base that's going to create some depth behind the gems that I will be gluing to my face directly after this. Realizing that I forgot some of my vertebrae, I'm going back in with burlesque on the edges of this piece on my neck. And then I'm going to go back in and highlight the center with that same mermaid color on that small brush. Looking at some of my black, it looks a little patchy, so I'm going in with that big powder brush to blend in some of the stuff that I might have done with the smaller brush that didn't offer the blending capabilities on such a large surface. Alright, and we are moving on to gems. So to attach my gems, I am using Prozaid, which is a pretty strong adhesive. I'm going to pat it on very gently in small amounts with a Q-tip. You can see as it goes on, it's white. I want it to dry just a little bit before pressing my gems on, which will give me a little bit more tack. I think for my first couple I might have rushed it, but as I'm going through this, you can see I apply whole areas and then wait a little bit, and it's because it gets tackier and it allows for a little bit better stick for the gems that I'm placing on my face. Be advised that when you do use Prozaid, you also have to use a remover to take it back off. If you decide to take off things that are applied with Prozaid without remover, you can take skin with them. Though it is safe to use on your skin, you also have to properly remove it so that you're not tearing off chunks of your face and being an actual skeleton instead of just a painted one. No flesh ripping, please. As I was going through this, I was also noticing my fingers getting stickier and stickier. So maybe take a page from my book and keep some baby wipes close by, or have a sink that you can reach close by, because my fingers started sticking to my gems more than my gems were sticking to my face as I was going through this. Also, please excuse my nails. I had been body painting all this weekend on top of getting my hands in all of this black eyeshadow. My nails look atrocious. Last couple gems on a nice tacky base. Alright, gem face. So let's talk about these next couple of pieces. I pre-cut these pieces for this skull base, and if I'm being completely honest, they were not easy. I used holographic duct tape, and I placed it face down onto paper towel, sticky side down onto paper towel, so that I could cut them out easily and get them into the shapes that I wanted them. I'm using the same adhesive, the Perzaid, and coating the back in a light layer, squaring them up to where I want them, and then gently placing them on my face. I made pieces to go up onto my brow bone. There were also pieces that were cut to be skinny pieces that went underneath my eye, and I chose to put these inside of the black hollow. And then I had some long skinny pieces that went along the actual jawline down toward the teeth. Now I felt like my brow bone got kind of lost some of the definition that I put in the burlesque, so following the holographic pieces that I placed on my face, I'm going back in and redefining some of that area, as well as just touching up the edges of the skull around the eyes. So the glitter and the primer that I'm using I got during the holiday NYX sales in 2017, where they had all these awesome deals and packages with lots of different items in them. This happened to be a stack of glitter. It came with a blue, with a holographic silver, and with a black glitter. Right now I'm using some of the black glitter, and then I'm going to go back in and use a little bit of the silver as well. I'm gently patting some of the primer down with my fingertips in the area that I want it to be applied, and then using a small flat rounded brush to pick up some of the glitter out of the container and gently place it on top of the primer. I don't want to push too hard or the glitter and the primer are going to come onto the brush, and I just want to softly tap on top so that the glitter sticks to the primer without me lifting the primer up off the face. Now I'm tapping in some of that silver on the inside bone of the jawline. And I've decided that I want a little bit of that glitter coming out of the corners of my eyes as well. Go big or go home. All the glitter, all the shine. One last touch. Let's put a little black glitter on the negative space below the jaw. So later on in this video, I did decide to go back in and add some big, huge wicked lashes that I picked up at the NYX store in Las Vegas, as well as added some more gems to my forehead after I got my wig applied. I applied those the same way that I applied the gems on my face, but to save you the time and to get along to our final look, I'm not going to post that little portion here. Instead, I'm going to show you what it looked like when it all turned out. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to see more in the future. Thanks, guys.